I'm Charlotte Maltby. I am a middle school special ed teacher. I'm also a person with ADHD. I am very open with all of my students about my identity as a person with ADHD. I mean, having ADHD is one of my favorite things about myself. One of the gifts of ADHD is I'm creative, I'm very curious. I have the ability, because my brain can be very rapid fire, I can see things from a variety of perspectives. I'm also someone who experiences hyperfixation. So when I hyperfixate, I will really, really delve deep into whatever I'm interested in. When I get up in front of the class, and first of all say, "Hi, I'm your teacher, and I have a similar diagnosis to you." Sometimes they go, "Oh." When I mention, how awesome I think having ADHD is, that's usually a new concept for them. They're not usually thinking about it as a good thing. And my hope is that by sharing my positive relationship with ADHD, they can start developing their own positive relationship to whatever their diagnosis is. And by sharing my sort of asset-based perspective, maybe they can start seeing, oh, not just this is what's hard for me, but this is what I do well. This is one of the gifts that my diagnosis gives me. And in addition to being their teacher in my content area, I also want to be teaching them about their identity as a person with a learning disability. Teaching biology, we were doing a unit on genetics. So we're talking about genes, we're talking about DNA, we're talking about different traits. And we were actually doing a really fun activity where we had pipe cleaners, and I was like, great, this is our strand of DNA. And then we put beads on the pipe cleaners, and each bead represented a different gene. And I would be like, great, I'm gonna build my strand of DNA. Great, this gene is what makes me tall. This gene is what gives me a quirky personality. This gene is my beautiful ADHD brain. This gene makes me blonde. And it just was a fact. It wasn't, and then this is the thing that makes things challenging for me. It just was a fact about my brain. This is the gene that gives me ADHD. It's a part of who I am. And it's right next to the fact that I'm tall and the fact that I have green eyes. And once students got to this activity themselves, they were like, oh, and here's my dyslexia. And whether they were saying it with a smile on their face or with a air of sarcasm, they were still just owning it as a part of who they were, and in a fun way next to their friends. And those are just some of the ways that I try to just bring in that identity piece into the classroom. And teaching biology actually makes it happen rather naturally, because we're constantly talking about whatever the content is and trying to bring it into our own lives, trying to make the topics as relevant as possible. So there are ways that I sort of have to push to make it come up, and sometimes it really does come up naturally.